Well, Greg, maybe a missed opportunity over the weekend in the series with California where you guys split the first two games and then had to feel pretty good going to the ninth inning Sunday and just came up short.
Yeah, we've kind of, that's been the epitome of our Pac-12 season so far, 6 wins, 9 losses, and you could look at almost every game that we've been in every game, either winning it or losing it within striking distance. Even the Stanford game that ended up 9-3 on that Saturday was 5-3 going into the ninth before we gave them a 4 spot. So it's just kind of, this weekend just kind of was a dichotomy of what our whole season looks like.
What do you talk about as a pitching coach? Obviously, guys at the end of games blow games in the ninth inning. It's the nature of baseball. But what do you say to a guy like Kellen Campbell, who obviously has had a tremendous amount of success during his career? But when you have a game like that, what's the...
Well, first he's got to know that he's going to go back out there again. He's going to be told, that, the best in baseball, the Riveras of the world are 9 for 10. So they're gonna give one up as well. The average in big league baseball is like 65%. So the best closers in the world are still only succeeding at 65% rate. So it's not a foregone conclusion that you're going to, just because you're a closer, go out there and save the game. So he's got to know that he's going to run back out there and that he's our guy. He's also got to be told why he failed. And obviously a 4-pitch walk to lead off the ninth. He did that in the Stanford game, I believe. He got out of that one with the double play, but he's had a problem of running out there in that ninth inning and just after sitting around for a half inning or whatever, just putting that first guy on without the benefit of a swing. And that's where he's got to make the move and make the mental awareness decision that I've got to do something a little bit different in my preparation for that last inning and not make it more than it really is. When I went out to the mound that day, I tried to lighten the load a little bit on him and just get him back into it's just like the 7th inning, it's just like the 8th. You just need to get 2 more outs here. They bunted the guy over, and he's just got to know, one, that he's your guy, and 2, he's got to know why he failed so that he can go about his business of fixing it. And that's what the best ones will do is make the adjustments. If it's a major issue, then obviously we'll have a major adjustment. If it's a minor issue, which I think it is for him, then he's just got to pay a little bit more attention to those minor things.
Talk a little bit about Jason Monda, a guy who's been in the program for 3 years but hadn't pitched since high school before this year and has had a tremendous amount of success on the mound.
Well, Jason's, if you looked at him, you'd think he was a natural pitcher from day one, the way he goes about his business. And we've kind of commented all throughout the year that he looks more relaxed 10 inches above the ground than he does, in that rectangle. And we don't understand that because he's obviously spent more time in the rectangle. But he's been a great addition to our staff. We knew he could pitch coming out of high school. We just, with some of our two-way guys, we usually give him the opportunity to do both, but he really never showed a lot of interest in doing both until this year. And what we don't want to do is force someone to do something. We've done that a couple times, and it's kind of backfired. They don't do well in either aspect of their game. And so we let Jason just kind of decide and dictate to us what he wanted to do for the first couple of years. Then we just kept kind of hinting to him throughout those times that, you want to pitch. And this year he finally came to us and said, yeah, I want to get on the mound. And it works out to where, by far he's one of our best arms, in our program. Our plan with him is obviously the draft's going to come into play, and we're going to have to decide whether, he'll have to decide whether he comes back or not. Our feeling is that, if he does come back, that he's going to challenge for a rotational spot next year. Send him out this summer, let him start. Next fall he'll start. We'll probably shut down some of our arms in the fall because of pitch counts and innings pitched. And he'll definitely be one of the starting pitchers, candidates for next year. And that's not to take anything away from the 3 that we have. It's just, it's about competition. We're always bringing in guys to compete, whether it's Jason Monda, who's on our program right now, or whether it's the freshmen coming in next year. They're being brought in to compete and potentially replace players that are here right now because our goal is to get to a level of being a national contender every year.
One of the things you guys have tried to solidify is the number 4 spot in the rotation. The weekend's been set this year. Jason has been in that role. Another guy, though, has been Chris McDowell, and I know you've talked a little bit about his emergence and development as a freshman this year.
Yeah, Chris has been a pleasant surprise. He had a really good fall. The thing about Chris is you wouldn't look at his velocities and say that the production should match where he throws at. But what he is able to do is he's able to go plus minus on guys and take a little off or add a little when he needs to. And there's obviously some deception to his delivery because there's been a lot of swing and misses when he's thrown. And we're not talking about power fastballs. We're just talking about average fastballs, and we get swing and miss from him. So he's got something in there that allows him to create the swing and miss or soft contact. And so he's done a good job. He was an early commitment for us as a sophomore out of Mount Vernon. You always worry a little bit about that because sometimes those guys relax a little bit. But both parents were Cougs, and he had a pretty thick bloodline of coming in over here. And so I wouldn't say it was a tough sell to get him to come here, but once he got here, there was just some, maybe is he going to make a move physically? Is he going to do it? And the one thing that I talked to Donnie about early in the season compared to the Schroeders and the Bowers in our program, the other freshmen, is that Chris has always been successful. I think he threw a perfect game in high school. He's always been the number one at Mount Vernon. He went down and played for an elite summer program in Baden baseball and was one of their best pitchers. So through it all, the one thing that's tough to teach is just that confidence that I'm the guy, and Chris has always shown that from the moment that he stepped foot on campus. And so credit to him for coming in prepared to compete at a high level right away.
And let's take a look at what's coming up for the Cougs at home. The next 2 weekends, you've got UCLA and Oregon, and I know the program talks a lot about the one day at a time, but as a pitching coach, how much do you have to look at the entire weekend going into Friday?
I don't. I look at Friday, and I talk to Joe about, he's going to be somewhere in the 105 to 125 pitch count based on how his innings go, and to use those pitches effectively, efficiently, and get us as deep into the ball game as we can, and from there we'll figure out who's next in line. We've got the 6 to 7 arms that we've relied on quite a bit. If you looked at UCLA stats, they've got 8 arms that they rely on completely. I mean, there's 11 guys that have pitched for them, and I think 3 of them have barely pitched at all. And so it's not uncommon for teams to get to this point of the season where they're only relying on 6 to 8. Our issue hasn't been who to use, it's been when to use certain guys, because some roles have changed a little bit just through some success and failures throughout the season. So my biggest priority right now is to get Joe out there. The Friday night game, why Joe's so good at it is because you're kind of going in blind. You get scouting reports from, like opponents or whatever, and you'll get information on UCLA's hitters, and maybe even like with the Pac-12 network now, see some games that's been beneficial for us anyways to go look at games on film and see what the hitters do. But you're still kind of going into it the first time through wondering, what do these guys really do? When they say that they're bad on the breaking ball, well, what kind of breaking ball were they seeing? Were they seeing a really good breaking ball or a poor? So until that Friday night, you really don't know what you're going to face. And so Joe does a great job of setting that up, of not only just competing and keeping us in the game and giving us a chance to win, but also giving me a chance to kind of see what hitters can and can't do. And then, that works great, except that Joe's left-handed and the next 2 starters are right-handed. So then you've got to go into Saturday with a little bit like, now what are they going to do against right-handed pitching? So there's some 3-game series in the sense that we know that Joe and Tanner and Scott are going to start, but from there, how much they go, Tanner only went the 1 last time. That wasn't the plan. The plan was for Tanner to go 8. But he went 1. So now what do? We've got to make adjustments. And we talk about that all the time as you talk about the game-to-game or, one game at a time. But we talk about pitch-to-pitch, at-bat to at-bat, inning-to-inning, game-to-game type stuff. So, we're really trying to make adjustments throughout those 4 scenarios. And that's what is it. If we make proper adjustments, then we put ourselves in position to win.
And last thing that I've got for you is, I know, building off that a little bit, the hole got a little bit deeper if you look ahead to maybe being a postseason team, but certainly it's not unreachable at this point. But how much do you talk to the team about, hey, it is just about Friday night, it's not about the next 6 games or the next 3 games or whatever?
I brought that up when we played Stanford. It's not about, we lost to Mark Appel on Friday night, and it was just about, obviously we want to win series, but all we can control right now is Saturday. And from that point on, we just talk about Saturday and then Sunday, and then today's practice is what we're really focused on. If we're going to be a great team, today's practice is what we need to be focused on. If we're focused on anything other than that during that 2.5 hour period, then we won't achieve or produce at the rate that we need to produce to be an elite team and be invited to the best tournament in the country. So our goal is to just completely segment what's going on. With Dead Week, it's a little bit of a challenge this week in the sense that, and then next week with finals, it's an even bigger challenge. So our guys have got to do a good job of managing their time, of segmenting their lives to where when they're on the baseball field, be a baseball player. As soon as they cross the white lines, they go back to being a student, then be a great student and get their job done that way. And don't think about next Monday's test today in the sense of, unless you're spending a half hour studying for Monday's test. But when we're doing base running today, I don't want them to think about their chemistry test next Tuesday. I want them to think about how to read a ball in the dirt. At the same time, at 6 o'clock tonight when we're off the baseball field, I want them to think about their chemistry test and how are they going to get an A on that test. So by no means do we as coaches see things and start putting numbers together, and just as sports information does, like you got to do this or that. Absolutely, you play out those scenarios. But as a program and as a baseball player, you just can focus on what you can control. And all of the stuff that we like to put out, that the radios talk about, the TVs talk about, the newspapers talk about, those scenarios are things that we really can't control until we actually go out there and play. And if we win Friday night against UCLA, then our focus has got to be to play really good Saturday. If we lose Friday night, the focus doesn't change. We got to go out and play really good Saturday. So to be an elite level performer, producer, that's the mentality that you have to have. Now, there's a reason I brought this up on the radio show last night. There's a reason there's not a lot of 18 to 22-year-olds in the big leagues, because their ability to concentrate hasn't fully developed yet. They don't start developing that true mature ability to concentrate till they're around 24, 25 years old. And so, we're dealing with a little bit of a different scenario. And that's why the Bryce Harpers are so special, because they can concentrate, the Clayton Kershaws, those guys, because they're young and they're able to concentrate at a high level, and that's what makes them elite players. We're teaching that to our guys. When does that sink in and become part of their everyday functionality? Every guy's different. Chris McDowell obviously is producing at a level where he's shown the ability to concentrate at a young age. We've got some seniors that don't concentrate. So it's just every guy's a little bit different, and our goal as coaches is to get enough guys on board so we can be productive as a team on and off the field.
Greg, thanks for the time, and best luck against the Bruins.
All right, thanks a lot.